Hey there, Coach Ryland here, and I've got this month's edition of Workout Espresso for Well Bella magazine. Now this month what I want to show you how to do is actually create an anatomical girdle. So we're going to work a stomach muscle here this month that most people don't actually ever work. They really don't even know about it. It's called the transversus abdominis, and this is the muscle that's going to suck everything in. So if you're tired of just constantly having to suck your stomach in consciously, walk around pulling your stomach in because it's bulging out too much, if we strengthen this muscle, that's going to do it naturally. You're not going to have to think about it anymore. It's going to tighten your entire waistline, pull everything inward, and also strengthen your lower back, your whole core, and really just improve your posture and a whole number of other benefits. So this month we're going to work on the transversus abdominis with 2 exercises. We're going to start with a vacuum, and then we're going to show you a heel slide. So let's get started. So one of the first exercises and one of the best exercises for strengthening your transversus abdominis, you'll also hear me refer to it as a TA or a TVA. What we want to do is a vacuum. So a vacuum is very simply just sucking the stomach muscles in. Now you want to do this in a very specific way though. What I want you to do is imagine pulling your belly button back towards your spine and upward at the same time. So if you can kind of imagine a cord on the inside of your belly button pulling back towards your spine and upward, that's what you want to do. Now a good way to do this is to take your thumbs, put them on your hips here, and then as soon as you find your hip bones, you want to press just inside of them into the fleshy part there. And then what's going to happen as you do a vacuum, if you're doing this correctly, you're going to feel that tissue under there go really taut. So you're going to feel that tighten up, and that's how you know if you're actually activating the TVA. So again, hands on the hips, find your hip bones, move your thumbs just inside, and you're going to find kind of a soft spot there. Now, suck your belly button in and up, and hold that really tight. You should actually feel your entire abdominal muscle structure go really tense. And then if you're doing this properly, where your thumbs are, you should feel that go tight as well. It's not gonna bulge out. If it's bulging out, what that means is you're actually contracting your oblique muscles, and you don't wanna do that. You just wanna use your TVA. So pull that belly button up and back and hold that. You wanna hold it for about 10 to 15 seconds. Now this might be really difficult at first if this muscle's not very strong, and that's okay. You just want to build up in the amount of time that you can actually hold it. So again, 10 to 15 seconds is all you need to do. Really suck that stomach in. What you're trying to do is make your stomach as narrow as possible. That activates that entire muscle, sucks everything in, pulls it in tight. And again, with the thumbs in here, you're going to actually be able to feel that. Then you just relax, take a breather, and then again, pull up and back. And you actually will find that you might not be able to breathe normally while you do this. That's okay. Just take short, shallow breaths, because that's actually going to put a little bit of pressure on your diaphragm as well. And that's okay. Again, just hold it for 10 to 15 seconds and relax. You're just going to repeat that. And then as you get stronger, you want to hold it longer and longer. And then basically, once you can get to the point where you can hold it for a full minute to 2 minutes without that muscle fatiguing, then you know you've got a lot more of the condition back into that muscle, and it's really strengthened up a lot. Okay, for the exercise that we're going to do now, we're going to call this a heel slide. Now basically what we're trying to accomplish with this exercise is to flatten out our lower back and keep it flat through the entire exercise. And there's not a whole lot to see here because it's really hard to demonstrate. So I'm going to give you a couple cues. The first thing is you always want to kind of feel just above your hip bone with your opposite hand. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. But if you can put your hand above the hip bone and slightly inside, and you press in there and you feel that muscle go tense, that's what we're trying to work. It's really deep layer muscle, so it's not that easy to see, so you have to kind of feel it. Now what you're going to do is lie on your back, and you want to keep everything nice and flat here. So you want to really flatten out your lower back, and you're going to take your opposite hand here, so my right hand, you're going to stick it under your back, and then what you're going to do is push down. Now you can do that basically by pulling the pelvis backward. So imagine you've got a couple hooks on the front of your hips here, and it's pulling it towards the opposite wall. That will flatten your lower back out, and that will also trigger that TVA muscle. Now with your hand in your lower back, you're going to feel pressure on your hand if you're doing this correctly. So if your hips are pulling back, you're flattening that lower back out, you're going to feel pressure in your hand. So you're going to keep that hand here, and you want to keep pressure on that hand the entire time. Now with the opposite hand, you're basically just going to find your hip bone, press inside a little bit, and when you pull back on your hips and you tighten that muscle up, you're going to feel tension here, and that's what we want to look for. So you do this exercise by flattening out that lower back, holding that. You're going to feel your stomach tense up here, and now what you want to do is slide one foot out as far as you can, but while the entire time here you basically want to keep pressure in that hand, okay? So slide that heel out as far as you can, and you're going to feel you'll get to a point where your back wants to arch up on you. Again, correct that, pull it down, put the pressure into your hand. Now, if you find you get to a point where you just can't control that anymore, that's as far as you need to go. Bring the heel back slowly, keep that pressure there. Now, the idea is, as long as we're keeping that lower back pushed into this hand, as long as we're keeping tension in this muscle here, then that TVA muscle is working hard. As soon as the back arches up, the muscle is fatigued, it's not doing its job anymore. So the entire goal of this exercise is to keep that muscle locked on as long as possible. Now, the reason we actually move the heels back and forth, and you'll do both sides, not just one, is because when you extend your leg like that, your pelvis wants to rock forward, and that means it's going to be forcing against the TVA muscle. So if we can keep that muscle locked on, as we slide that foot out, it has to work so much harder, and it's just a way of reconditioning it, getting it to fire better. So vacuums like we did before are fantastic for retraining that muscle, getting it to fire properly. And this exercise is really good for actually challenging it, so making that muscle stay locked on throughout movement. It's a little tricky at first. It's kind of hard to get the point of, because there's nothing really to see. Like I said, you have to kind of feel that muscle working to know you're doing it correctly. But if you keep that hand into your lower back and you keep pressure on it, then you know that muscle's working to press your lower back into the floor, and that's the entire goal. So thanks for checking this video out. Again, I'm Coach Rylan, and I'll see you again next month for your next edition of Workout Espresso. But for all the details for this workout, make sure you head over to your local GNC, pick up your copy of Well Bella magazine, and that's the March 2011 edition.